And so this is something, I have a 10-year-old boy. I mean, I do it with both kids, but right now I'm like focusing on this a lot with my 10-year-old because he likes to be the funny guy kind of. And that's all great, but sometimes he will sort of come up with nicknames for his friends and try them out because he's trying to be funny. And I'm always, saying to him, so have you checked with your friend that your friend likes this nickname? Because, they might not. And I bring up the fact that when he was younger, a friend of his, the mom of a friend of his used to give him a nickname and he really didn't like it, but he never really communicated that he didn't like it. But so I'm, trying to help him understand, hey, remember when somebody called you a nickname you didn't like, are you sure that your friend likes these nicknames that you've come up with? And just trying to have conversations and have him expand his thinking beyond himself and his intentions to what are the ways in which this could actually be affecting people that you might not be thinking of. So the more we can have these kinds of conversations, and another technique that is really helpful for building theory of mind and preventing bullying is induction, which is like when you are trying to tie your kids' choices and behaviors with the effects they could have on other people, really trying to sort of connect those dots. And so like if I ask my daughter to pick up the Legos off the floor, I will not just say, can you pick up your Legos? I'll say, could you pick up your Legos? Because otherwise I'm going to get hurt. I'm going to step on one and it's really going to hurt me. And the more we can sort of connect those dots between, what we're asking of kids or what we notice that they're doing and how it might affect other people, the more we're helping them develop those theory of mind skills and really think of themselves as part of a larger whole, where they're part of a community, whether that's their family or their friends at school, and that, what they do has an impact on other people in that community.
And so the question that I want to ask is, I find out that my child is being bullied. Most of the times, what do parents do? They run to the teacher, they run to the administrator of the school to try and get the bullying to stop. You are suggesting that might actually not be the best approach. Research is saying there's another way of supporting your child if that child is experiencing bullying. So instead of running initially to the teacher or the counselor or the administrator of the school, what other ways can they support their child? Or one, and if their child is witnessing bullying, what can their child do to stop it? If the child is a victim or the child is a bystander, what can parents do to support the child?
Right. Yeah, those are great questions. Well, I think, there's definitely, it can definitely be useful to go to the school if your child is being bullied. But I think the first step is to just gather as much information as you can, because I think sometimes, we hear from our child that a peer of theirs said something that's unkind, and we immediately jump to, oh my gosh, my kid's being bullied. I need to get everybody involved. I need to call the parents of the kid and yell at them. And sometimes it really just is that these are two friends and they're having a conflict, and, kids make mistakes. They say unkind things. It doesn't necessarily mean there is a bullying situation. And bullying is really, a specific term that refers to repeated behavior that also involves a power dynamic. So a bully in the situation in which they're bullying, they have more power, whether it's, physically or mentally, emotionally, they have some kind of power differential. So it's important to know that, bullying is a specific thing, and it doesn't just mean conflict. It doesn't just mean fighting or unkindness, because kids will sometimes just be unkind. So gather information from your child, really try to understand the situation, what's happening. Is it happening over and over again? Does your child really feel disempowered, like they can't do anything about it? And at that point, if you're convinced that this really is a bullying situation, then it can be helpful to go to the teacher and talk to them and ask if they've noticed it. Ask, sometimes you can put together a bullying plan in writing where the school will actually take concrete steps to counteract the bullying. Maybe that means they have an extra teacher watching what's happening at the playground, and that there are steps that are going to be taken if more bullying happens, and what those steps are, and et cetera. And then the child knows what to do if they are being bullied, who to talk to, where to go. So that can be useful. But yeah, it's often a good idea to just get information before you just jump call the school immediately. Right. And
And
then in
what
the,
and the thing about the bystander then, because your
yeah,
child, they don't have the life experiences similar to us as yet, and they might be concerned that they keep seeing this child being picked on the playground, and they want to intervene. They don't know if they should intervene. So if your child happens to be the witness, then the bystander, how then can you support your child with that?
yeah, that's a great question because, I know in an ideal world, we would hope that our children would stand up to the bully and, make everything right again. And unfortunately, that's just really, really hard for kids to do because in that particular, moment, a bully can be very scary. And, there could be a risk to the child who stands up to the bully. They might get hurt too. And so sometimes it's not realistic to expect your child to stand up to a bully or fight back. And often that's actually not what you want to suggest. But what research has found is that when kids are being bullied, the one thing that they say is the most powerful thing to support them is to be an ally, like to let's say, a child is being bullied on the playground and your child sees that, to go up to them afterwards and say, are you okay? Or to sit with them at lunch that day and just sort of even silently sometimes show that you are there to support them, that you're on their side. Even, it doesn't have to involve yelling at the bully or anything like that, but just showing that they have support for the child who's been bullied can be an incredible way to make the victim of bullying feel better. And we know that through surveys. So that can be very, very helpful. And we know too that having these conversations does help children make better choices. I mean, when we talk to our kids about what we expect of them, if they see a friend being bullied and say, if you see that, it's really helpful to go up to them later and tell them, ask them how they're doing, sit with them at lunch. When we give that kind of direction to kids, we know that they do listen. There's been studies looking at this, and they found that when we have conversations with kids about how to be a good bystander, that kids take that to heart and they do make better decisions. So we should be having these conversations.
And it's easier to compared to confronting the bully. It's way easier, no matter if you're a child or an adult, is to just quietly go to the other person. You may not say anything, just sit with them and so on to let them know, I have your back. I might not be able to confront the bully, but you have me as a form of support. I think that tip is a very good tip for parents to share with children, and it might, motivate them to provide more support to a peer that they see is struggling with a bully in the classroom or on the playground.